What's up, everybody? We're back for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast this week with our special guest, Idk Player, to talk about a whole lot. Playoffs, NASCAR Heat 4, and Matt DiBenedetto. So I'm the Iceberg. This is the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Green flag. I'll roll him. He's flipping me out. Yeah, boys. So bad. They cut. What's it in the wall? He threw it off the track. Get that second flag, son.
Alright, yeah, so we are live, and thank God that we had the other guys muted because they were being spazzes. I think, okay, they're here. I'm going to apologize now. The Hangouts is getting shut down soon. It is having problems, and if they had their cameras on, they would look like utter potatoes. So I'm just going to let them start talking now, and you can hear their wonderful voices at least.
Bro, Hangout sucks so bad now. We're going to be switching here pretty soon. But anyways, what's going on? It's your boy Darren Gilliam, a.k.a. Black Flags Matter. Pretty epic week in terms of NASCAR news. And also, NASCAR Heat 4 is out. So I've been having a blast playing that too. And speaking of NASCAR Heat 4, we got one of the best NASCAR Heat YouTubers out there, Idk Player. What's going on?
What's up? How you guys doing? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, always good to have you on, bro.
All right, so let's just get right into it. We just had the Brickyard 400. Yeah. Okay, anyway, we had the Brickyard 400. People were surprisingly positive about it, and I want to hear if you guys were as surprisingly positive about it as everybody else on the interwebs.
So I was basically switching between, opening day in the NFL and, the race pretty much. My Rams winning 30-27. Not bad, the season opener. And, oh my gosh, freaking IDK's team, Miami. Jeez, right? Dolphins, holy crap. 59
I didn't watch a minute of that game.
Oh, I
Not
bet.
1 minute
No,
of it.
Real Radman didn't either. Yeah, Real Radman hasn't been a Dolphins fan for a very long time. But nah, like, the race was, I was just surprised by all the stuff that was happening. I mean, like, yeah, it was a typical single file racing, but then, like, I don't know, like, the scary part was, like, when Brad Keselowski hit the tire barriers. I was like, damn, like, that was a bad hit there. Like, but, he was okay. The thing that I don't know, it's weird though. Like some fans, they were complaining on Twitter, just like, why is the tire barrier there and all that stuff. Like that's a weird place to put it. But then some others were like, well, if it were a freaking safer barrier, he would have re-entered the track. He would have freaking like ricocheted like back onto the track, and would have caused an even bigger wreck. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. Like they were just going back and forth over that. And Kevin Harvick pretty much dominated this race from start to finish, man. There was no stopping him. Bubba Wallace as well. Bubba Wallace, man. Third place, man. That's so cool. Third place finish for Bubba Wallace, dude. Second career Cup Series top 5, so not a bad outing. And then, what's his name? Daniel Suarez, man. He just freaking, he just blew it, man. Like, I mean, you can't make mistakes like he did in the very beginning of the race, trying to make a playoff spot, especially going up against Ryan Newman, who is Mr. 15th place finish himself. Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, he basically is, man. Like it doesn't matter. Ryan Newman's at least gonna get like a top 20 or top 15, man. And he ended up getting a top 10, so not bad. But Suarez didn't make the cut, unfortunately. And the rise and fall of Jimmy Johnson too, man. Jimmy Johnson. Oh my goodness, just it's a shame the playoff streak comes to a close, and Slapshoe's video is outdated. It's like top 10 video. Well, it's not really outdated, but like I remember in the beginning of his like top 10 records that won't be broken, it was like Jimmy Johnson's playoff streak from 2004 ongoing. Gonna have to update that now, 2004 to 2019. But yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna be broken again. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over there at Hendrick. I mean, Jimmy Johnson is the only driver not in the playoffs for out of the Hendrick stable. And Daniel Suarez, I don't know, man. Like, I don't necessarily just want to throw the bus label on him really quick, but I mean, it's just kind of hard to defend him. But I mean, here's the thing. It's his first year with the team. Maybe, he'll have a breakout season next year. I'm hoping for it. It would be good for the sport and for the team. But yeah, congrats to Kevin Harvick, and the NASCAR playoffs are officially underway in Las Vegas. It's Vegas week for NASCAR, baby. Let's do it. Okay, go ahead, IDK.
Okay, so I want to first talk about that safer barrier. People talking about there should be a safer barrier there. I'm actually okay that there was a tire barrier there because I remember, I believe last year, I watched a video from the NASCAR Mexican series. I think it was called like that. How someone lost their life because there was just a random hard barrier there in just like in the middle of the track. You know what I'm talking about there? I think you know.
Yeah.
So like I'm okay with the tire barrier being there. I know the reason the track is laid out. By the way, if you hear the dog in the background, I'm sorry. But I know the track layout's like that because they have to also deal with the road course in the middle. I'm just happy that they at least put something there. Now, Daniel Suarez being a bust, I wouldn't say he's a bust just yet.
Not
I
yet.
would just wait a little longer because, as you guys know, I like Daniel Suarez a lot. Did he blow it at the beginning? Tremendously. He tremendously just blew it. And the race all around, I actually liked the race. My expectations weren't high going in here, so that probably contributed to it because I already know how Indy's gonna work. The restarts were amazing, obviously due to the stages and the wrecks, and I understand that. But Harvick won, so that also contributed to it too. But I've just grown to get used to, I guess you could say, Indy not being a four wide, or side by side racing all the time that like through the packs. So once I see like a pass here and there, it's just I don't know how to really explain it. I just think this year's Indy race just had a certain feel to it that was a little bit better than last year's and maybe 2017's, maybe.
And I mean, with that feel, it's gonna be interesting how it's gonna how the vibe's gonna be for that race next year with it being on 4th of July weekend. So
No,
I
I
don't
don't think
know.
it's gonna have the same vibe. It's not gonna
Yeah,
have the
I
same
don't know if it's probably not, and I think honestly most fans are just gonna be very disappointed with the weekend overall, just compared to Daytona's tradition. But I don't know. Next year's cutoff race though at Daytona, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be insane.
See, for me, I'm just never been a big fan of Indianapolis. There's been a few races that have had really good finishes, I'll admit. 2011, like, I honestly think has one of the most underrated finishes driving wise. Paul Menard being able to hold off Jeff Gordon. I mean, I know it was fuel, but he held off Jeff Gordon at the end there. And we'll talk a little bit more about Paul Menard later. But nothing really got me with this one. I wasn't invested in the playoff cutoff line because I know that it's just a race to who gets eliminated. Like it's a done deal that whichever one of those guys, whether it be Johnson, Suarez, Newman, even Boyer, it's pretty much done after this. It's a you or an also ran thing. I didn't think it was awful. I thought there was a good amount of passing for what Indianapolis can have. I loved Bubba Wallace being up there. I thought when Harvick and Logano were side by side and Bubba started getting up there, I was seriously thinking, because I've been looking at some old races, I was seriously thinking like Ron Bouchard or just out of nowhere going to come out and win, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But he still had an awesome run. But overall, the race was just kind of for me. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. It wasn't really good. Wasn't really meh. Really meh. But it was all right. I gave it a 5 out of 10, which is probably like the worst race of a long time, that I've rated. But I feel like I'm being gracious with it though. It was definitely an average to below average race in my opinion. But I guess, do you guys have anything to add on it? There's a little bit of TV rating news with it if you want to jump into that.
Back to the whole playoff cut line thing. I mean 16th, it's basically just the fight for the last mediocre spot. I mean, again, I've said it time and time again, and I'll say it again. The NASCAR playoffs, you don't necessarily have to have a good season to make the playoffs now that these days. I mean, just coast, you can just BS your way to finishing 15th and 16th every week, and you can barely make it into 15th and 16th. So
well,
I don't know.
I'm not saying like that that just means Newman's out right away, but I mean, be realistic. Roush cars are not going to go out and win in any of these rounds. Like, they're not going to sweep each round. They might point their way to the next round, or maybe with. I mean, I'm looking here at the grid, and I mean, maybe because of how the playoff points are, maybe he would get to the round of 8 kind of thing. Sure, But I mean, realistically, like he's not going to be a factor for Homestead.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. And like, I mean, 16th place isn't gonna win the championship. I mean, maybe like like 1st through 10th. I mean, obviously you have a pretty good shot, but like 11th on back. Like, I mean, other than Tony Stewart in 2011, like that's never really happened before. I mean, if you're 16th in the points, heading into the playoffs, like the chances of you winning the championship. I think Radman said this in a video a while back, like 0.002%, so like less than 1% chance to make that. Ryan Newman's not. I mean, Ryan Newman's not doing that. I mean, again, the championship, it's all about entertainment. Now these days, like it's not about. It's not about legitimacy. It's just about what's entertaining, what's going to entertain the fans. And I'm entertained by it, but I don't know. Unfortunately, it's not legitimate. But hey, let's see how the playoffs shake up this year.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We're totally going to be having like a playoff prediction grid. I'm not saying we're just going to not talk about it. Trust me, we are.
No, we won't.
There's some pretty good stuff to talk about with that, and I think there's a few predictions that I have on here that people are going to be like, really, kind of thing. Anyway, I mean. Really quick, going into a little more indie stuff, I'm looking on here, and I think Adam Stern had reported this, that the TV, or was it Adam Stern? I can't remember who it was that reported. A reporter, it was probably Adam Stern.
It was a reporter.
Yeah. But Indy got a 1.9 TV rating. It's not comparable with last year because of the rain delay, different channel, whatnot. But interestingly enough, in 2017, which was when Dale Jr. was still around, was when Jimmy Johnson was still somewhat competitive, Indianapolis got a 3.3 rating. So that's a loss of 1.4. And the 1.9 is sort of comparable to what the cable races are getting. So I guess I got to ask, like, is it just definitively NFL was the problem here with the ratings going down, or is it just Indy at this point? People are finally getting tired of Indy.
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, to have, like I remember when they announced the 2018 schedule, and I'm like, Indianapolis is not only is that your cutoff race, but you're basically running it on a Sunday, like on opening day for like a bunch of NFL franchises. Like, no, like I'm sorry, like that's just not gonna work. And I don't know, like I mean, there's obviously going to be a loss of TV viewership there. But yeah, and then also just Indianapolis too. Like I mean, everyone at this point pretty much sees through the facade that NASCAR's trying to play up Indianapolis tradition, blah blah blah. Nobody cares.
Hey, really quick, nobody Harvick didn't burn down on those bricks though. Much respect to him there.
He didn't do it on purpose. He left a little skid mark. But it was not.
Well, it looked like it was just honestly with burnouts like that. That there's obviously loose rubber. There we go with the Darien mispronunciation.
Yeah.
Loose rubber still on the tires, so I could see that if it skid just a little bit, it left it on there. But that's something you can just get off with a broom.
Sweep it off there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's basically all I got to say about that. IDK.
So, to be honest, I think it's just a combination of like just a bad superstorm with Indianapolis. Like, it's not just the NFL ratings, because NFL ratings are dropping, but not to the degree of NASCAR ratings. But Indianapolis just has this bad rap on anything social media wise besides NASCAR America. Like on Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, you hear Indy, it's already like a bad name for NASCAR. So I think that also has to contribute to it. And the fact that people just look at Indy and they're just like, this. It's not really even a NASCAR track to say. So, I mean, opening weekend and like all that stuff mixed in together, it's just like, it just created a superstorm for ratings to drop. That's literally, as I could probably explain it the best, because, I mean, that's just how Indy is. I mean, even if you look at the videos, like you looked at Winfow's video at Indy, attendance dropped, but I mean, I was looking at that, all he saw was turn 2. I mean, he can't see anywhere else. Go to another mile and a half, like Chicagoland, Las Vegas, Homestead. You can see most of the tracks, so it's just not meant for NASCAR at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I had pointed out like, man, we could be racing at IRP, and then like some fans were all like, oh well, it's not ready for NASCAR. But I mean, like they are making renovations there, so I mean, never say never. I mean, they are gonna put millions of dollars into the racetrack, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I mean, it would be interesting to if they could ever race there, but I don't know. At this point, next year's race weekend is going to be some last ditch effort to try and save something that's not really there. That's been dead for a while, as Jarrett alluded to in his video. So it is what it is, and hopefully it's off the schedule pretty soon.
Yeah, really quick. With with all the indie talk or whatever, we did have the poll. I can't pull it up really. Darren, would you be able to share screen by chance on that deal?
Yeah. Let me get that. Yeah, let me get that for you really quick. Let's see.
Yeah, because I found the results for it pretty interesting. I wrote them down here, so like while I was pulling them up, I can at least read off what the results were. It was 14% great, 47% said it was good, 26% said average, 7% below average, 6% said bad, and we had the same amount of voters as last week with Darlington, 3.2 thousand. So I'm surprised with the net positive so much. 61% net positive. It's about the same as Michigan was, which I thought Michigan was a much better race than
All right,
this.
so here you go. Here's your results right here. So,
Yeah. So we can see Darian's vote. This is why they're so yeah, there you are. This is why it's so much better when somebody else that's not me puts it up. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking at it there. Yeah, Bubba. Let's see, go down. Have roots on the podcast.
Yeah, I said it wrong.
I'm sorry. He'll be on again before the year's out.
Yeah,
I can promise you that. Here, scroll down a little bit. We gotta get some of those people in the middle some love. Oh, it's so glitchy on this end. Yay.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff about the attendance being bad. I see.
Yeah.
I see right there with the Steelers one, Spencer, he said best Brickyard 400 in years. So I'm glad he was happy with it. Energy 11 says a bit too many wrecks.
Yeah. There were a lot of wrecks, honestly.
I think you're gonna have to scroll a little quicker.
Okay, let's see. For Indy standards, I mean, it was good, but overall, compared to other races this year, it's one of the worst. Yeah, real J.R. Smith. I'd agree with that.
It's definitely in the lower 10 for me. Some of those races at the start of the year were pretty big. Oh, is that Streamville? Is he the one who does the comments?
Yeah. Ellie digging.
Mikey.
Michael Walter.
Let's see.
Hey, Jake, what's up? Good for Indy standards. I like that one right there.
I will admit, for Indy standards, it was much better for the most part.
Andrew, when the podcast will skip over this comment, sadness with noise. No, you didn't skip over it this time.
If the last one is the one I saw earlier, it's gonna be hilarious.
And also the Xfinity race. I mean, Xfinity was pretty good too. Xfinity, that was a good race. I mean, Kyle. You had Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick, take each other out there, and then Kyle Busch ended up winning. I mean, Justin Allgaier almost had him, but it's Kyle Busch. He's not gonna mess up.
All right, let's see. Stop it in 3, 2, 1. Just stop and see. Let's see.
Best
it was
400 ever.
F for Roots.
Yeah, F for Roots, dude. Bro, I've seen so many Roots comments, bro.
I know. All right, let's see who the bottom one was, and if it is, I want to read it then.
Let's see what the last one. View more comments.
Yeah, view more comments. There were a lot, man. People had opinions.
Okay, here we go. Here you go.
Don't like my comments, so I'm last for the last comment for the podcast. Patriotic Pioneer.
Hey, smart man, right there, bro.
All right, yeah. So that'll be it for this week with the pod but the poll. Yes. Oh yeah, we're just going off the air. Oops. Oops. No. So yeah. Thank you guys again for voting. Be back next week. I will wait until the Vegas race on Sunday night is done, and as soon as whoever it is hits the checkered flag, or the start finish line, poll goes up, just like this past week. So thank you guys. I guess we could talk about something else that's been a pretty big news this week. You will not be able to get hard for Menard very much longer, because Paul Menard is retiring at the end of the year, and his replacement is Matt DiBenedetto, handpicked by Menard.
Let's
I
go.
like it.
Go ahead. What do you think?
I love it. Dude, I was getting ready for work and I saw this news. I was like, what? Like this is real? It's not from some like fake freaking like spam account or whatever. Like it says NASCAR news. You know those freaking Twitter accounts and stuff. Like, oh yeah, this is reported right here. I'm like,
You mean
no,
like the 100 Dave Moody's?
Oh yeah. Oh Dave. Oh yeah. That's
Share that screenshot at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, we gotta share that. But nah, man. You know, Paul Menard really, probably one of the most average drivers ever in NASCAR history, and when you really think about it too, kind of a journeyman, or basically a journeyman. Started driving for Andy Petrie's team, goes over to DEI, then goes over to Robert Yates Racing, then to Richard Childress, where he had the best moments of his career.
But you're also missing. He raced for Petty in 09.
He did?
Didn't he? Didn't he?
Did
There's
he?
so
No,
many
I
teams
thought
he's
it was-
been.
I thought it was
What,
Ross
no,
Yates.
or was that? I can't remember, because there was the year that the team, the 9, 19, 43 and 44, and then they thought they combined again. I don't know, man. There were so many mergers going on back then.
In 2010.
The 98,
yeah.
The 98 was that was Robert Yates, I believe.
No, Yates was gone by 2010, though. I thought.
Well, who the hell was the 98 then?
I thought it was Petty.
All right, we gotta look this up, man. We gotta look this up. I'll look it up.
I
really
just
quick.
remember that Paul Menard won the Brickyard 400 in the 27. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Chastain, that was Petty Yates. Well, let me look it up to be exact. But yeah, to continue, Paul Menard, one of the most average drivers ever. He's like gets memed to hell and back. I mean, for not doing anything basically. I mean, he's like one of those. Okay, yeah, it does say Yates Racing. So yeah, they were around for a little bit there.
Man, I don't know what any. No, I said 2010.
Oh, 2010? Okay, 2010. Oh, yeah, 2010, that was Petty Motorsports. You
See?
were right there.
I know stuff. There's a reason I've been on this
Wait,
thing for almost
Petty
80
had-
episodes.
When did Petty? Wow, I didn't even
2010,
know
man. 2010.
2010
Because
for me.
Evernham got out pretty quick at the
Yeah.
end of the decade. But I mean, like you were saying about him being memed, even Dale Jr. memed him.
Yeah,
Like,
even Junior
like-
memed him, dude. Like, I mean, that's a lot right there.
I mean, we even made like a failed T-shirt run of the many faces of Paul Menard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, he never smiles. Like, but here's the thing, though. I was working on the LVMS program all last month, and I found a headshot of him smiling, and it is the weirdest headshot ever. It is just so awkward. Like,
I've seen it.
Paul Menard smiling. Like, I don't get. Like, I don't know. It's so odd. It's so weird. I'm glad he's happy and all, but damn,
Well,
like he never says anything.
I think Mark Martin actually memed that one.
Yeah, probably. But what's crazy is though, it's like Paul Menard, like it was rumored during the summer that after the 2020 season he was gonna retire. But then, I guess behind closed doors he was like, yeah, I'm out. But let's put DiBenedetto in the ride, and Matty D, I am so happy for him because like. My biggest fear was either he was probably like I just assumed he was gonna land some, filler team like Front Row Motorsports. We got a super chat, bro.
Oh yeah, I can say that really quick. Thank you, Carl Singleton, for the $5 super chat. Asking, agree or disagree? People who love NFL, MLB, and NASCAR. Good Lord, I'm stuttering. Love their country. If you mean love the United States, I'm assuming yes. If you mean music, that might be more debatable. I like some country music, not modern pop country, but like Cash.
Yeah, that's only me.
Yeah. I'm like iffy on that stuff, but yeah, back to
But thank you.
DiBenedetto. Yeah, thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Always giving super chats. Back to DiBenedetto though. I mean, it's great to see him get really another competitive opportunity here, and honestly, this is a much better situation than the 95 ever was. I mean, the 95 there was never really a track record for much success, up to this season. with the Wood brothers recently. I mean, obviously Trevor Bayne won the 2011 Daytona 500. Ryan Blaney was in that ride for a while. He ended up winning at Pocono in 2017, making the playoffs before he moved on to Roger Penske. I mean, basically moved on to the main Roger Penske team. And this is basically a fourth Roger Penske entry, pretty much. Roger Penske entry. So, I mean, it's a good situation for him. I don't know. I think expectations-wise, probably, obviously, playoffs, no doubt. I think he can easily point his way in, no problem. He can get that car. He can get the most out of that car. So I'm really excited, man. I'm really hyped for him. And, like, everyone and their mama on Twitter was so hyped for him, dude. Such a great opportunity. But then, like, there was that one article I saw in there that was like...
the Jalopnik one?
Jalopnik, yeah. Like Paul Menard getting replaced by controversial upstart DiBenedetto. I'm like, controversial? Like, what? Like, what is this clickbait stuff, man? Like, that's so out of touch, man. Like, he's the last thing from controversial, dude. Like, everyone loves Matty D.
Go ahead, IDK.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm working on the playoff thing right now. I can't find the champion. Like, I'm
All
just
right.
like,
Well,
okay, no. I
okay.
can talk about Matty D because, I mean, I'm super happy for Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, he just gives me that Ross Chastain vibe. He's super happy. He's super down to earth, and you just see like that he wants to win. Like you just see that like that's basically how I could just say it. And that's something you see that's lacking in some of these young drivers. Like he works so hard, and like when he gets that top 3, you see how emotional he is about it. You see that top 5, you see that good finish. The same thing I saw from Bubba. Like you see like these drivers that aren't expected to perform on a week-to-week basis, and they go out, and then when they finish well, you got that that super ecstatic. Like, I really can't explain it. It's just like super ecstatic, and I'm just happy he got it right. He finally got what he deserves, and I think he's actually gonna make the playoffs next year.
Oh, he's gonna make the playoffs, no doubt about it. I mean, hell, even maybe get a win or maybe 2. Maybe at Bristol. Maybe he sweeps Bristol. I don't know. I mean,
you saw how well he did when he was in the. What team was he running for? Was it still BK Racing at that time?
It was BK Racing.
Yeah, it was the BK Racing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw how he got a top 5, top 8, like with that.
I believe, or 8.
Dude, that's
Sixth.
incredible.
6th place.
Yeah, sixth.
Yeah, I remember.
Place.
I remember because that was one of my favorite moments. I when I got to actually talk to him at Bristol after the race, I had told him, basically that from that moment on was where I was like, oh my God, like this dude, I have to root for this guy. Like, obviously Dale Jr. all the way, but DiBenedetto is definitely high up on that list. And to think of how disappointed he looked after that race, especially when we got to talk with him, and you could just see in his eyes, like he was just, that defeated look right after, like, obviously for the short term. Long term, I think he's definitely fighting that battle a lot better up the mountain than down. But to think that at that time, from what some of the reports were, that this was starting to materialize at that point, just kind of, it shows that even in the lowest moments, there's always some kind of light for you. So I'm happy, man. I think that he can do great. I mean, he right now, over like the last, 10, 11 weeks, in the 95 car, which does not get full Gibbs support like a lot of people think. Like that was something that a lot of people had told us, is something that people think is the case, but really isn't. That 95 car is not to the level of a lot of these top teams, and he was outrunning guys like Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Daniel Suarez, top level teams and drivers, either or. So man, I will love to see what he can do in the 21. I honestly think he can do better than Blaney did. And really quick before we move on to the next subject, I saw there were a few more super chats. Carl Singleton again, thanks for the $2. He said, I meant U.S. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say honestly most people in the country love the United States. Don't listen to the crazy people that crowd up all the Twitter sphere. Yeah. Also, Carl Singleton with another $2. Thank you again, man. Who should get the 95 now? Well, we can, I guess, shift into that in a minute. But first, thank you, Reverend Rasheem Stewart, for the $1.99 super chat. He says, who do you think will be in the 48 car in 2021? That's a good question.
Probably Gregson. I mean, the way it's.
No.
I mean, probably Gregson, just off of like funding, and I mean, he's already in the Hendrick stable.
Nah.
His Snapchat could single-handedly derail that.
Yeah.
I think, if we're being honest, I think Gregson might go in the path like Keselowski went in the path. Like, in that Hendrick stable, the next thing you know, he's gone. Now, I'm not saying he would go to Penske, but, like, I don't see Gregson staying there for, all the way to Cup Series being with Hendrick. I feel like it's going to be a driver that's already experienced to go to the 48, not some young gun.
Like who, though? Like who? Like someone from Xfinity?
I think,
who's experienced? Or...
I mean, we could look at Allgaier. I mean, that's a shot. Or we could even look at our own. I mean, Bubba, you never know. Bubba's in that Chevy camp.
But I mean, damn, like, where's the funding coming from, though? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think if Bubba got a top right, I think he would get funding. If I'm being honest, I think the reason Bubba isn't getting great funding is because he's with a low-tier team.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good marketing standpoint. Like, Bubba's marketable. I mean, and I'm not just saying he's marketable just because of his race. I mean, he's marketable because of his personality, too. I mean, like, you talk to Bubba, I mean, he just looks like some guy that you really want to talk to. I mean, you look at some of these other drivers, they look like sandpaper. Like, they just have and just Bubba just looks like that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's that guy. I'd say, companies want to build around and stuff. But, I mean, I feel like Hendrick, like, maybe, just, they want to, transition as easy as possible. And, I mean, right now they're looking at Gregson like, well, Gregson's not the best prospect, but then again, he's certainly not the worst. And plus, he already has funding. So let's just, let's just put him in the 48 for a couple years and see what happens, and then maybe look at other options if it doesn't pan out necessarily. So,
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true too. But I mean, a lot could change within a year or two. I mean, you never know. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, Gregson could just lose his funding and not race anymore, or
Bubba gets funding.
Yeah, or like Bubba gets funding. Yeah, I mean, you never know right now. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I don't know, man, because if you look at the last couple drivers that Hendrick's got, the only one that's come up through the Hendrick stable the entire way and has had a path set out for him was Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott was the only one who started with Hendrick people. Remember, like, back when he was in ARCA, K&N, his crew chief was Lance McGrew. Like, he had Hendrick support all the way up. But then you look... Yeah, but you look at the other guys. Bowman was all over the damn place before he finally managed to land in Dale Jr.'s replacement and proved himself. I think if Bowman had run 20th every week in that 88 car in 2016, if he hadn't had that Phoenix run, we wouldn't see him in the 88 today. We'd probably see who knows who we'd see. But then Byron has started his race on a computer. But he, he's had a very unorthodox way up. Raced for Kyle Busch in the Truck Series, and then managed to go into the Hendricks stream through JR Motorsports to Hendrick. But you even look at Jimmy Johnson. Wasn't really that good in the Xfinity Series. Had one win before he went to Cup. Turned into one of the greatest drivers ever. So Hendrick has a way of finding these unorthodox ways of getting drivers in. Who knows? Maybe it could be Bubba. Maybe it could be Gregson. Maybe it could be DiBenedetto. Who knows? Maybe DiBenedetto is a holdover for Cindric. Who knows?
Who's last one?
I forgot. We forgot that. I feel like this driver's just been so under the radar since he won the Xfinity Series championship. Chris Buescher. I mean, that could be a possibility too.
And technically, he is a part of the Hendrick family with the whole alliance Daughtry Racing has. So, I mean, I could see that. I would love that. Oh, I would love that.
I'm never not going to chuckle at how you say
Daughtry. I said Dottie. Well, no, I remember the first time I said Dottie, though.
Oh, my God.
First ever time I said that.
It was amazing.
JTG Dottie Racing.
But I guess we can move on a little bit to another 2020 plan. This one I know was Adam Stern reporting because I wrote Stern next to it. Cole Custer. The news is that his 2020 plans are still in the works. It all depends on if Boyer renews with SHR, which I got to be honest, Boyer not renewing this close to the end of the season, kind of, for someone who's a veteran, for somebody who, for the most part, seems to be relatively popular, is kind of alarming in my view. But again, they could just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna announce it at like Martinsville. But anyway, so Custer's 2020 plans really depend on Boyer's plans. So it seems like Suarez might stay, but we don't know about that either. But Custer could run a split Xfinity Cup schedule if it allows. So I guess, guys, what series do you think Cole Custer is going to be in this time next year?
Number one, I feel like, he's earned one of those Stewart-Haas racing rides in the Cup Series, man. I mean, been, digging hard, really, since 2017, for 3 years in the Xfinity Series now, just, proving that he's ready. I mean, last year, the talk was, oh, he's not ready yet. And then, what does he do this year? He goes out and wins a bunch of races, beats Kyle Busch at Fontana, and then ends up beating Joey Logano at Chicagoland straight up too. Not on strategy, ends up beating them straight up. So he's no doubt ready for the Cup Series. Just the question is, what rides are available? I mean, you got the 14. Still nothing's finalized there with Boyer, but I mean, with him making the playoffs, I'd have to think maybe they would give him one more season, just as, maybe just to see what happens. But I don't know. Daniel Suarez, I don't see him going anywhere. I think though, I mean, it was a 1-year deal with a 1-year option. So I mean, I think he'll be back. And then with the whole Go Fast situation too, I don't know. I don't want to see Corey LaJoie get the shaft, but it's kind of looking like that if this whole alliance goes through, because I don't think they're going to start a second team for Custer. I mean, unless, they want to put in, Stewart-Haas Racing wants to really put in that much for funding, but I doubt that. So, I mean, honestly, if we're going to, I don't know, like realistically, I could see him ending up in the 32 with full support from Stewart-Haas Racing. LaJoie gets the shaft, and LaJoie ends up settling for, a ride over at Front Row Motorsports. Boyer stays in the 14, maybe for one more season. This would be his swan song season, perhaps. I mean, he is getting up there in age. And Suarez hopefully improves in that 41 ride.
How about you, IK? Where do you think Custer's heading up?
To be honest, I think Custer got another year in Xfinity Series, unless they're 32, unless they move LaJoie like Darren just said. But I don't really think anything's going to go crazy for Stewart-Haas this year. For 2020, I think this is going to be another quiet year. I think it's going to be the same 4 group of guys, but 2021 is going to be the big year. I really think that if Boyer doesn't perform up to par, Boyer's gone. If Suarez doesn't perform up to par, Suarez is gone, and Suarez is going to go to a lower tier series. I'm not serious. A lower tier team, probably like a Go Fast or something like that.
I could see that. I can see that.
Because if that's going to be an affiliate, I could really see Suarez going to 32, and then Custer moves up and takes his spot. But then the question is, if Boyer leaves next year, who's going to replace him? And I think it's going to be I wouldn't say Chase Briscoe. I would say it would be a driver that's already in the Cup Series right now, looking for a way to get to a better team. Once again, you look at drivers like Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, even Corey LaJoie comes into the picture, and even Matt DiBenedetto if stuff doesn't work over at Wood Brothers Racing. So I don't. I don't know. It's just like it would just suck to see Corey LaJoie get the boot. But I mean, again, it's a business, and if Stewart-Haas Racing is offering me full-fledged funding for my underfunded team, and their only obligation is, oh, by the way, we want Cole Custer in the ride. I'm sorry, like, as much as I like Corey LaJoie, I'm doing that like 10 times out of 10 every single time. To get my program better.
The way I'm kind of torn with it, because I like Clint Boyer a lot. I think he is one of the best personalities in the Cup Series. I think he knows it too, and I think he plays it up a lot because that's his moneymaker right now when he can't perform on the track. And that's the big thing with me is Clint Boyer slowly over time. He had a very high peak with the second place points finish. But other than that, I mean, he's had, I believe, 10 career wins or around there. And you look at other guys around there, and it's like, well, yeah, there's the guys that are around him and wins are the type of people who had careers like Clint Boyer. Generally, we're in the sort of bottom half top 10 teen, sort of in that all right, good to mediocre range, and then had like 1 or 2 good seasons. And I think Boyer at this point, he has a few things stacked against him. One, the performance isn't there. Two, the age problem. And three, these younger drivers, I think Dale Jr. alluded to it about a year ago, they're cheaper now. So why wouldn't you take a cheaper driver who's going to give you better results? So I think he's going to be in the car next year. I think it's going to be the same four guys, but I think the big shakeup is going to come in 2021. Custer, I think, will have a lot to gain by being in the Xfinity Series one more year. I mean, you look at what Christopher Bell, I think a lot of the experience he's gained and a lot better driver he's become is because of this extra year he's had to be in the Xfinity, and now he'll be up in Cup from what all reports are saying. So I think it will really help Custer over time, as annoyed as I bet you he's going to be with it. I see him doing a full-time Xfinity with probably like 10 to 12 Cup races kind of thing, just so that they can get him ready, I guess. Ready, but at the same time competitive in another series as well.
That's not a bad option, too. I mean, full-time Xfinity schedule, run for another Xfinity series championship, and then, do 10 to 12 races, I'd say mostly on, mile and a half, some some short tracks, and then, maybe, a super speedway in there, or run both. 2 super speedway races, to try and have a chance at yeah, pretty much. So I don't know, man. I mean, personally, again, in a perfect world, I would love to see him in the 14, but I don't know. Realistically, I don't think that's the case. I think Boyer probably will get one more year.
I alluded to this a little bit on my little ramblings, but another news point that I guess we can just touch on really quick is that JGR is expected to formally announce Bell to the 95 in 2020. Are any of us surprised?
Not really. That's been the news really since Bristol, really. So DiBenedetto's out, Bell's going to be in. It's not official yet, but it'll be official this week though.
All right. Another thing that caught my eye this week is another TV rating news for the overall stuff. NBC had reported that in the Cup Series races on NBCSN, which there have been 8 so far, they've averaged 2.499 million viewers, which is up 5% from the 2.383 million viewers in 2018 on the first 8 races on NBCSN. So I guess this shows a little bit in the form that, maybe this is a full year thing. I'm thinking it's trending towards a full year of TV ratings going up. So I guess I'll pass this to you guys to start off with. What does this mean moving forward? Is this the start of a trend, or is this just a one-hit wonder kind of thing?
Can't be a one-hit wonder though. I just don't see it as that. NASCAR. I really feel like last year they pretty much plateaued. Now we're starting to build back up towards the future. We're starting to see more exciting races, and we've seen some more personalities come through. When Alex Bowman won, yeah, he was kind of bland, but you saw a little bit of him come out, and then you're starting to see Eric Jones win, some more, starting to get a little more support. Matt DiBenedetto. Especially, once he gets in a very competitive ride, he's good to go. And then Bubba Wallace as well, he's starting to come through. He's always had a great personality too. But, if he can put the performance together, he can definitely, gain more fans from that. And then you have your regular drivers, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, who they have a few more years left, some more than others, but I really feel like NASCAR is in a good place right now. And also, Barstool Sports, and I see Barstool Storts in there in the chat right there. Yeah, put a freaking official Barstool Storts account. Yeah, it was only a matter of time. But yeah, Barstool Sports, they've really influenced, I think, a younger generation, and to get into NASCAR racing, just by their engagement on social media, really being able to sort of connect with a younger generation of fans. NASCAR took a chance, and NASCAR never takes these kinds of chances, and it finally paid off. I really think that's helping out. And I don't know, man. It's just the future seems very bright for the sport, man. You got the schedule changes coming up for 2021. 2020 schedule changes already announced. Sure, there were some things I don't agree with on the schedule, but at least they're doing something. At least they're being proactive with it, rather than just sitting on the current schedule we have now and not doing anything. And then you also had the Gen 7 too. Gen 7. A lot of fans are looking forward to that. I mean, there's a lot of hype around that, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But I mean, again, what made the 90s and the early 2000s great was like there was a certain vibe around the sport, certain vibe, there's a certain spirit. I mean, Brock Beard alluded to that in his, watching NASCAR in the 1990s was so great. There was a certain vibe, there was a certain spirit, when watching NASCAR. And I think slowly but surely we are gaining that back.
What do you think, IDK?
Well, I'm thinking about it right now. I don't think it's a one-hit wonder, but it all depends on what they do about the aero package. Because I'm gonna be honest, in not 2013. Well, if you want to include 2013 too, for me, 2018, it was just so hard to watch. I mean, the small spoiler made the cars look ugly, in my opinion, and like, it was the same three drivers winning. Like the big three, I'm not gonna lie, like it was cool from my standpoint, but it was the same three drivers. At Auto Club, it was a 35-second gap to second. I mean, the racing just wasn't intense. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't NASCAR. And then this year, this is why the only reason I really like the aero package is that the restarts are nuts. The racing is closer. Yes, I know I went on Twitter and I said the aero package is perfect. Personally, it's perfect for me. But I mean, all around there could be some changes. Like I know the dirty air and all that stuff. People talk about that. I just think that's a physics thing. But it's just made NASCAR this year something different. And then other small companies promoting it, Barstool and certain companies coming on board. It's just like we're at the bottom. The only way you could go up now, we're at the bottom. There's no way we can go any farther down, okay, at this point. I think 2020 we're going to go higher. 2021 we're going to go higher. I think this is just an upward trend of NASCAR at this point. If they don't screw it up.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Just as if they keep staying the course, we'll be okay. Trust me, we'll be all right, man. I mean, just talking with Steve Phelps just at the racetrack too. I mean, again, like we alluded to this a couple weeks ago. I mean, he was he was open, he was honest with us about certain things and stuff. And I mean, obviously, we can't get into too much detail there, but I mean, when we were at Bristol, I mean, just telling us certain things and. I think, the sport's in great hands, man. It's going to be all right.
Can I add on to one thing, though? Another thing is I feel like NASCAR also lagged behind other certain sports on social media. So that could have also been contributed to it because, I mean, you look at it, I would say 2018 on back, for NASCAR-wise, social media-wise, whether it was YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, it's just lagged. Like, you would go on YouTube for NASCAR, there's only a certain amount of people that would upload. That you were, familiar with, Eric, Joseph, Radman, just to name a few. But I mean, 2018, breakout. Now you got all these new people.
And especially on Twitter too, and Instagram, dude. Like, there's everybody. Yeah. There's many different types of YouTubers and influencers. From history to current, topics.
To gaming, yeah. You could go right now.
I mean, go look up the stuff right now, man. I really think it's helping it out.
You can go look up a NASCAR E4 live stream right now. There's got to be someone streaming that has over 50 people watching. So, it's just like certain things like that. Rusty's coming up, yeah.
He's going to be streaming after this, after the podcast, so I can't wait to be a part of that. But yeah, I mean, definitely, yeah, social media, I mean, just it's been a big influencer to me to why more people are coming back to the sport.
See, this year... it's definitely better than last year, but it feels to me like 2011 in a way. 2011 had that same vibe. A lot of people, when they look back at 2011 and 2014 especially, those are like the 2 years from from the COT coming in on that everyone's like, those years felt like the old years. They felt good. The racing was good, this and that. And the ratings went up that year. There was an awesome championship battle, all this good stuff from it. And everyone's like, NASCAR is back, baby, it's here. And then it sort of went like that and then fell back down like even further. So it's like that's why I'm not too keen on jumping on just yet and being like, oh yeah, it's back. I think this is a little different. They're not in the hands of the horrible drunk, but at the same time, we've seen this before. We've seen this pattern before. You saw the initial peak up, and then they went down for a few years, and then they sort of plateaued for a bit, and then they dove back down after 2014 until about 2018. Seems like they plateaued a bit. Now it's just a matter of the decisions they make behind the scenes. That's why Gen 7 is so crucial because, I mean, you look at 2011 and 2019, and it's almost scary how similar they are with, you know, the amount of good finishes we've had, the better racing we've had for the most part. And on top of that, they're 2 years removed from a new car coming in. Like, it's actually kind of scary that, you know, like now that I think about 2011 and 2019 comparing them, and I think the lack of performance Gen 6 had is a big reason why we had a fall off there in ratings in the mid 2010s we're calling this decade? I don't know. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope that it is a trend up, but at the same time, we need to see more data before we can make that assessment final.
Yeah, I see what you mean there.
Kind of want to add on that a little bit. I would say, yeah, not really thinking about it, like, you gotta, like, keep that in mind, but I still think that's just Brian France era, I mean, in my opinion, because, like, if we're being honest, you're right about Gen 7. I really think if Gen 7 fails and it doesn't do well off the gate, there's going to be another huge drop-off, and I will be close to IndyCar. That's my opinion, if Gen 7 doesn't work out. That's just my opinion. I know, that's scary right there. That's scary right there, I know, but, like, Gen 7 needs to work this time. Like, it needs to work. Or at least, if it's not going to work, market it like it's going to work. Like, to bring back the old fan base. Like, I don't think Gen 6 marketing was, like, really that well. I mean, splitter, you know,
well, they marketed it. I remember they marketed it. It's like, hey, look, it looks just like a normal Toyota Camry or a Ford Fusion. It's like, and to core fans that want the whole, you know, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, like that really spoke to a lot of us. But I'm telling you right now, I could have went into my classroom, picked out any NFL, MLB, NBA, I don't know, PGA, polo fan, you know, whatever you want. They're not going to care that, oh, look, it looks like a car that I drive past every day. Or, hey, look, it looks like a car that I literally can't buy because they only made like 26 of them. Like, that was their problem. That was their problem. They didn't, you know, plus at the same time, you know, they won the fan base they had with it, you know, at first. It's like, hey, it looks a lot better. But at the same time, you know, no person is going to turn off an NFL game because they want to see what, oh, wow, this looks like a Camaro. Or, wait, no, Camaro's going to be gone soon. I don't know what it'll look like. This looks like a Chevy that I'm never going to drive. Like, no, they're not going to, like, that's something that these sports fans that they seem like they're chasing after do not care about. So I agree, Idk, that they got to market this right. If anything, just say it's, you know, just have it be sort of a thing that you almost, you know, this is
the next generation. I would say like they did with the Formula E, how they marketed it a little bit, like the next generation of like racing or something like that. But I mean, I think actually the Ford Mustang could also contribute to it because I mean, if you look at the Ford Mustang, it looks mean, it looks cool, and like when the Chevy SS and all this stuff came out, it just looked awkward. I mean, even like with like, you know, it just didn't look right. Like the Chevy SS looked like so weird, looked so circulish. I don't know. In 2013, every single manufacturer looked weird except for Dodge. The concept for the Dodge looked amazing.
It looked badass.
The concept looked awesome, and it just happened to not drive. I don't think in 2013 any of the cars looked right body wise. 2014, I think it looked amazing. I don't know what happened.
Bigger
I think
spoiler.
it was just like, yeah, there you go. It's probably the bigger spoiler, but 2019 right now, everything just looks right. Yeah, it's probably the spoiler, okay? But the Mustang looks right, the Camaro looks right, the Camry looks right. You're talking about new manufacturers coming in, and that's a marketable thing. They just have to do it right. If they don't, we're going back down. But right now, I think this is an upward trend, and this isn't just a one-hit wonder for, you know, we'll be talking about 2013, how 2019 was an upward trend, and then everything dropped again, so.
And also, NASCAR sort of needs to get away from like the whole family-friendly, you know, vibe as well. Kind of sort of go back to maybe an old, you know, bad boys roots. You know, like hey, you know, like.
See that I think that's actually marketing it like that is a wrong move because the drivers right now aren't those guys. So if you market these guys like it's like if they put in these commercials, I remember one they put like see these guys going at it, and it showed Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd in 1989 going, spinning out, and then them all mad at each other, and then the next shots or whatever, I think were like, Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards. All, they might do it in the cars, but then off the track, they're just gonna talk in the media. That's it. And these drivers now, I think, are even less with it. Like, can you imagine if they marketed like all these older drivers, hardcore guys, and then put and then they're like, and see these guys now who are just as mean, and it's like Bubba and Blaney and Bowman.
Yeah,
like
a few guys. Yeah,
like,
I mean,
well.
Go
Oh
ahead.
wait, sorry, I'm not trying to intrude. Okay,
No,
no,
you're good.
I would say it would work for a couple drivers. I say in 2014 that could have worked. Okay,
Yes.
2014 definitely would have worked.
Yeah.
But I mean, this year you can't see, dang, who am I gonna say? Eric Jones and William Byron going after each other. Like, it doesn't look right.
I mean, I feel like behind the scenes, like these guys, like they're like these younger drivers' personalities, like Dylan Smith was on the podcast. He said, like, these guys do have personalities, but unfortunately, it's either NASCAR or their sponsors holding them back, from saying and doing certain things. And also, some of these drivers growing up in, the PC culture and all that stuff, and being groomed to be a NASCAR driver, they were always told whether it was, their parents or their manager, like, hey, you can't, you have to do it, a certain way like this. You can't, venture out here and stuff, just stick with the path, sort of how Jeff Gordon did it, growing up. So, I mean, that's another problem there. And I don't know. I mean, I just wish, NASCAR would have more personalities like that. And then also let's say, I recently did a video on this guy, like a Dale McCower, a hardworking man who, pretty much would, work odd jobs just to build his race car. You know what I mean? Fans, core fans love those types of drivers and personalities. They love those types of underdogs. But I mean, in today's NASCAR, you probably won't really see that as often, or if not, if ever again.
Except for the All-Star race.
Yeah, except for the All-Star race. Yeah, except for the All-Star race.
And they didn't get fined. They did not get fined. So that's kind of shows that NASCAR might be a little bit.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Lenient,
we've had 2 fights this year. After the All-Star race, and then even during qualifying too. So maybe if NASCAR is sort of just like, hey, y'all can do your thing, and we won't fine you and all that stuff. I mean, you don't necessarily have to fight. I mean, you could just argue. Fans love it when drivers freaking confront each other on pit road, or if they're talking trash on social media, especially Twitter. Twitter loves that mess. I mean, Twitter loves that crap. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
so,
but
you don't necessarily.
we know you love it.
Fight. But if NASCAR sort of allows, more of that, it'll be more entertaining. And then also, we need more divas. We need more divas. Antonio Brown. Can you imagine if NASCAR had their own version of Antonio Brown, or let's say a Dennis Rodman? I watched the 30 for 30 on Dennis Rodman last night. Can you imagine if we had a Dennis Rodman type personality in stock car racing? Oh my goodness! NASCAR would be trending almost every week.
Kyle Busch goes to Korea.
Yeah, he goes to Korea. Pretty much saves the world, basically. Or Kyle Busch wears women's clothes, like Dennis Rodman did. But no, that's what Rodman did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But,
we need a driver like T.O. Remember how T.O. every time we have a touchdown? We just need that driver that wins and just goes crazy, does some stupid
I love
stuff.
me. Yeah, pretty much. I love me and all that
All
stuff.
right. Well, yeah, I think a lot of that would help a lot, but I guess you just gotta take what you can get. I guess at this point for NASCAR, but we're about at the halfway point, which means.
Holy crap!
Darian, what does that mean?
Oh, lightning round.
All right, here we go. So lightning round this week. So right now we'll start with this week. Marshawn Lynch, beast mode himself, is to be driving the pace car at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Saints are happy that there's nobody playing, that they're not going to be playing in Vegas that weekend. Kevin Harvick, his 2020 paint scheme for Busch has been announced, and it's added more H's to the Busch. So it's on Twitter. And then also DiBenedetto's Barstool scheme for the 95 has been announced. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is considering everything in regards to the future with NASCAR and their track layout for NASCAR, including the infield road course. But nothing will probably save that track. Go to IRP. Darlington and Daytona have reported no damage from Hurricane Dorian, so that's good on their part, and we hope for the best with everyone who has had to report damage and much more with Dorian. Also, something I wanted to point out, it was on Reddit a few days ago, and I think this is funny as hell, is that it's been 5 years since the Richmond fence climber.
Oh,
I salute you, sir. Jimmy Johnson also has said that he has open wheel plans in his future, but he's not done with NASCAR yet. But yeah, so it's something that a lot of people had been wondering about. He pretty much was like, yeah, it's in the future, but we're still with NASCAR. He basically was just gave the same answer in a different way. And then one last thing is keep an eye out on Twitter this Monday. We're announcing the Core Season 2 schedule. It's going to be great.
Woo! Core Season 2, baby. It's going to be a blast.
But yeah, that was the lightning round. Darian, get the outro.
That was the lightning round. Let's get back to the show.
All right. So I guess we can talk about, speaking of Core, we can talk a little bit about the game Core will be on. NASCAR Heat 4 is out. So I guess what are you guys' thoughts on that one?
Man, IDK, go first, bro. Go first.
Man,
Oh, you.
hold on. NASCAR Heat 4 is nothing like the crap we saw in Heat 3. There are some flaws that I will point out in a video I will make Saturday because I'm still trying to find every single flaw. There are still some glitches like the Daytona Turn 3, but all around, it's not even like 704 made this game, if I were being honest. Like, I think they secretly said, "Psst, EA, make this for us," It's just like, the fine details to everything is just ecstatic. Finally, Homestead's a night race, but the multi-group race and the gameplay, yes, the added features aren't crazily added. Like, they didn't add a bunch of new features, but the gameplay is awesome. Like, people are saying that this is the best NASCAR game they played in years. I don't know about that. I personally say it's a top 10 NASCAR game, but to be honest, it's probably the best sounding NASCAR game. One thing that could probably compete with it is NASCAR 15, but by far, they definitely came to play this year. It's like Evolution was the first week of production, Heat 2 was the alpha, Heat 3 was the beta, and Heat 4 was the full game release. It's something different.
And finally, I finally have a brand new NASCAR game to look forward to playing every single day. Like, I haven't had that in I'd say 10 years, man. It's been a very long time. It's been a long time coming, for a NASCAR game to finally be like just so good and so solid. Really, I mean, this game sort of reminds me of like NASCAR 09 on like the PS3 back in those days, racing online. Like, you would always look forward to it. I mean, you would have fun. You would, beat and bang, and like, you would just race. You have to give it to Monster Games. I mean, 704 Games always gets the props, but like they're just the publisher. I mean, Monster Games really stepped up and improved their stuff. I mean, so shout out to them. And, shout out to 704 too for marketing this game and, again, reaching out to us NASCAR YouTubers to help promote it. I mean, I was very proud. I'm very proud to promote this game, and I know Idk Player was as well. I mean, throughout the whole way, I mean, I love it, dude. And, just the features on there. I mean, we had Zane come on last week, and, like, I didn't even know that you could pause lobbies. I didn't know that. And I was the one promoting the game. I was like, last week's reaction was not fake. I was like, thank you, finally, thank God. Like, thank you, man. Like, I was abusing that feature pretty much when I got it. I was like, stop, like, pause the lobbies and all that stuff. But, when you really look at it, 704 Games, each and every year they've improved their product. So, NASCAR Heat Evolution was straight garbage. And then NASCAR 2 was a steady improvement. NASCAR Heat 2 was a steady improvement over NASCAR Heat Evolution. NASCAR Heat 3 was, compared to NASCAR Heat 2, I'd say a major improvement, but there was still a ton of problems with that game, especially for league racing. And NASCAR Heat 4 just obliterated NASCAR Heat 3 and has become the best game in the entire NASCAR Heat series up to this point.
That wasn't a high bar, man.
Yeah, I know it wasn't a high bar to begin with, but it's still, they've set the bar pretty high, and I can't wait for future NASCAR games from here on out because, again, this company has, 9 more years to make NASCAR games. They signed a 10-year contract last year, so they have 9 more installments of the game. Or, I don't know, maybe they'll,
2029, to the end of 2029.
Yeah, till the end of 2029. But my thought is, like, as a future plan for them, maybe wait 2 years until until NASCAR Heat 5 is released. And the reason I say that is because, okay, just keep improving Heat 4 for like maybe the next year or two, and then keep adding DLCs and updates, with updated rosters and stuff. And then come 2021, come the fall of 2021, man, NASCAR Heat 5 is going to be a beast if you put all the time and effort into that game.
That's the problem. That's a problem already. They can't. Under contract, they have to release a game every year.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Okay.
Unless they change up the contract. Because that is possible. Contracts get changed up all the time.
Well, either way, either way, if they have to release a game every year, the future's bright, man. Like, NASCAR gaming is finally back in good hands. There's finally some competence when it comes to, the companies making these games. And I'm proud of 704 and Monster Games, dude. And I can't wait for Core Season 2, man. Like, you guys have no idea, man. Like, if you were watching Rusty stream, I was freaking screaming. I was like, this is a good game. It's a good game again. Finally, NASCAR is it's so much fun to play again, man. Like, it's amazing. I'm proud of y'all. Proud of you guys.
Yeah, of us three on here, we all know I am by far the hardest on 704 and on these Heat games. Heat 3 was utter garbage. It was crap. It was terrible.
IDK for false advertising?
No, because I think he was because I think he was looking into the future at Heat 4 instead. Because this was the game he was advertising.
Yeah, this is the game you're advertising. You were 1 year late, but hey, it's not good.
This game is really, really
1 year
good.
early.
1 year early.
The game came out a year. Whatever. Anyway, no, this game is pretty good, man. It is pretty good. I admitted it. I was wrong because I thought I was like, I'm like, I don't want to wait till the game comes out before I say anything because 704, not the greatest track record here, and but no, it is well worth the money. We at one point in a private lobby, I think at one point we had like 16 of us in a pack at Daytona and Talladega, and we all kept finishing in the same pack, and 6, 8, 10 lap races, which anyone who's been on a lobby in Heat 3 knows is really difficult to do. And we were going 3, 4. At one point, we were going 5 wide for the lead. There's still a few tracks that are pretty iffy. There's still a few tracks that are glitchy, too. It's not a perfect game by any means. It's not a NASCAR Thunder 2004 kind of game. Don't go in expecting it to be. But, I'd say it's definitely, it's up there. It's one of... It's comparable with NASCAR 15. I would say, personally, it's my favorite since NASCAR 07. So if my word means anything to you, that's my take on it. I guess if we have any little bits to add to it, we can move on to the next subject. But that's my take here.
Yeah, Core Season 2 on the way this November. It's gonna be a blast.
Keep an eye out on Monday, whether it be on the Core YouTube channel with Community tab, maybe a stream. Who knows? We might be there. Who knows? And definitely the Twitter account. But other than that, let's go on really quick. We actually, before we have our 2 segments of picking, have one more story to talk about. Who wants to go out to the movies? Because Blink of an Eye is out. It has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the only ones that don't like it are the elitist, crappy movie reviewers.
That's not bad, though.
It's all right. It's not great.
That's positive, and I was just about to talk about that.
It's comparable with Attack of the Clones, so...
Yeah. I am actually going to see that movie with my mom tomorrow. It's going to be playing one night only at the Cannery, so right by our house. So I can't wait to see that. is it a movie, documentary? Basically a documentary sort. Yeah.
It's like a docu movie.
Yeah, a docu-movie. So it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait to see that. Like, I was waiting on the reviews because like the biggest one I saw was like Dale Earnhardt Jr. Oh, it's like one of the greatest ever.
God.
And then like me and Jarrett were like, well, of course he's gonna say that. I mean, he was in the damn thing, and Michael Waltrip's like one of his best pals. Of course he's gonna support this thing. But I mean, really, the only time we've seen this in-depth story about, Michael Waltrip and his first win, and how tragic that, day was in 2001 was, when Speed ran that, special, the day, the 2001 Daytona 500. So really ever since then, we haven't had a full detailed look into that, but like this will probably be way more detailed, probably, I mean, more from the perspective of Michael Waltrip. And then, you get some perspective into the late Dale Sr. and, how he was criticized for even putting Michael Waltrip in the car too. A lot of people forget, I think, at the time, why are you putting this guy in? Like, this guy sucks, he's no good and all that stuff. And then Dale's like, because I think he can win. He can win in one of my rides. And, hell, he was right. He didn't live to see it, but yeah, he didn't.
He knew.
Yeah, he knew. He basically knew. Yeah, he knew he won before, he passed on. But I mean, hey, he was right.
I want to see this movie. The only problem is the closest theater showing it is like 2 hours away.
Do it. Make the trip.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff I could be doing. Oh, and really quick, I just noticed in the chat, Evan. Yeah, he might not be the first one to notice, but Evan noticed. Oh crap! It's back. It's back. The Stonehead. It is back. Yeah, I just add something every week. So yeah, if you like the Stonehead, lick that like button. Yeah, get it on there. But back to the Michael Waltrip deal. Man, I want to see this movie, but I might have to wait till it comes out on streaming service or a DVD set or something. Like, I mean, that's 4 hours worth of gas to, because 2 hours away is 2 hours out, 2 hours back. It's 4 hours out worth of gas. That I was like, that's half a tank of fuel. So, but it looks good. The reviews I saw that were negative, it was things like, they're like, it's just NASCAR glossing over this day and saying, and like one of them I saw, this dude clearly knew nothing about NASCAR. He's like, NASCAR says after this wreck, nobody has died at a track since with their safety improvements. Give me a break. I'm like, huh?
Wait, where?
That doesn't even make sense.
Rotten,
what?
Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes.
I gotta find that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and is that Michael Roots in the chat? It says big time sadness. # Jimmy.
Roots, where's your boy at?
He's in there, man. How's it going, man?
He's not in the playoffs. No, I'm just playing. No, but that sucks, dude. I'm sorry. I wanted him in. I wanted him in the playoffs so bad, dude. Oh.
At least he went out with a bang.
He did go out with a bang to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, don't ever take Rotten Tomatoes seriously. I mean, they thought The Last Jedi was a good movie, so.
I don't know, and also don't some of these companies pretty much just like pay some of these reviewers off, like, hey, give us a
Man,
they do. Yeah, they do.
Dang, well, they do.
Disney does that a lot, but I'm looking forward to whenever I am able to see this movie. I think it'll be pretty good. Like, I mean, anything that shows a new side of NASCAR history, whichever good or bad it may be, I'm interested in learning about. So, if you can, go out and see it. That'd be my recommendation. Having not seen it, and then maybe tell me how it is. And then also Gators in the chat too. How's it going, man? Transferred over from NASCAR. How'd Sloppy do?
How'd Sloppy do? Did he win?
Yeah, I'm just.
Sure we would hear.
Oh, and really quick, thank you to Carl Singleton for the $2 super chats. His favorite movie all time for Black Facts Matter and Iceberg. And IDK, I'll include you in on this one, but I'll let you guys go first. What's your favorite movies ever?
Oh, it's right like that. God dang.
Are we just talking about like sports or?
Ooh, Sloppy got third, man.
Oh, we got third.
Got
nice,
P3.
nice.
And there's What If. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good for him, man. I'd say one of my favorite movies probably. I just thought about this on the fly. Like I don't know, like I like the Titanic. I like the Titanic movie. Like
Oh,
I don't
your
know,
heart
like,
will go on.
Yeah, my heart will go on. The Dark Knight too. I'm just gonna rattle off 5 like random ones.
Let me see if I can.
Talladega
I'll be
Nights.
right back. I think I can find mine right in here.
Let's see. Get On Up, the James Brown story, and oh, I don't know. Damn it. There's one more. There has to be one more. Oh, it was Never Been Kissed. I like that movie too. Like I always watched that with my parents growing up all the time and stuff when I was little. So pretty much any sort of movie, like if it's good, I've probably seen it.
We can turn this into a Q&A session. IDK, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, see, you already know I'm a huge Disney freak, so it has to be something Disney or Disney Pixar wise. That's how you know I'm a Disney freak, because I included Pixar in it, but Lilo and Stitch is up there, Cars, the first Cars, and Cars 3. I don't consider Cars 2 a Cars movie. That's Incredibles 2.5, just Cars version. I'll go with Cars, the first Cars.
All right. Dun, dun.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun,
Or Pearl
dun,
Harbor.
dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun, dun. Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie ever. It is just, it's not, it's hard to, objectively, it is not Spielberg's best movie. There are so many errors in it. There's like over 160 errors if you look out throughout. Like the T-Rex comes over, and then you look, and then the car goes over the cliff that the T-Rex walked out of. But it's fun. Seriously, go back and watch that movie. The T-Rex bites through the fence, walks out, roars, and then when she pushes the Jeep over the fence, it's a giant cliff. It's fun stuff like that. But it is a great movie. It is one of the crowning achievements of Spielberg's career. And on top of that, he, just this, what it did for the industry, completely changed it. It was probably the biggest change for the movie industry since the original Star Wars came out. But other movies I like, I really love Perks of Being a Wallflower. I like that one.
I like that.
Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld, really, really funny, but good at the same time. I don't know. I like a lot of character-driven stuff. So I mean, I'm trying to think of other. Spider-Man 2. If we're gonna talk Spider-Man 2, we need to get Real Radman on here. But yeah, those are my favorite movies. Our favorite movies. Good question. Turn into a Q&A session.
Let's turn into a movie stream for a second there, but
yeah. Who knows? Hey, maybe that could be our next BS stream.
We can go over movies and stuff.
Well, I won't say one thing.
Great. Still gotta do that.
I also like the horror genre too, because look, I would say probably the first It Chapter 1 is probably one of my favorites, just because.
You meant the sorry, I was like the original It, and I'm like, wait, the 1991?
No. I'm talking about like It Chapter 1, because I watched. I was like, oh, that was pretty scary. I don't usually get scared off of movies until I look back on YouTube and they show little snippets of him actually following them throughout the movie. Which you never saw, and I was like, what? Like, what scares you is what scares you visually in your head from what you see. Like, you visualize it. And, like, just the small details, it was just awesome.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to NASCAR.
Anyway, so yeah, we got 2 more big segments, but good job, really. Oh wait, that's not on me. Good job, Sloppy, on the P3. Let's get into. We have 2 prediction segments. But we need a good amount of time to get through these. It's not just like our normal picks. I think let's go starting off doing a playoff prediction. We'll go each one of us. So we'll start with Darian, then IDK, then me. And we'll just say one round at a time who we think's getting eliminated. So Darian, you'll start us off. Who's getting eliminated in the first round?
Okay, so the first 3 races, you have Las Vegas, Dover, and the Roval, correct? for the first round?
I can check. I don't have the schedule on me. Real quick.
Yeah, hold on.
My trusty magazine. Okay. Yes, you have Las Vegas, Richmond, Roval.
Oh, Las Vegas, Richmond, Roval. Oh, sorry about that. Yes. All right. So,
Wait, did you forget Las Vegas?
Yeah. No, I said Las
Okay,
Vegas.
okay, yeah, let's say.
No, of course I said Las Vegas. I said Las Vegas, Dover, Roval. I don't know. I'm thinking of like the old playoffs or whatever.
Anyway.
Second race. But yeah. So first round eliminations from those 3 races. Ryan Newman, I mean, barely got in. Only got in by like 4 points, I believe. He's out. Clint Boyer as well. So Newman and Boyer, those 2 out of the first round isn't much of a surprise. Now the next 2 maybe, and the chat might go a little berserk here. I have Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson as first round exits as well. I mean, Alex Bowman, when he's on, he's on. I mean, he had, during the season, in the spring, he had 3 straight second place finishes. And, one at Chicagoland. But, I mean, he's been a little quiet recently, though. He's been a little quiet. I mean, he has remained consistent. But, again, consistency, isn't always key when it comes to, playoff time now. And, you have to win some races. You have to run up front inside the top 5. You know what I mean? Sometimes maybe top 10 finishes won't get it done. And, Alex Bowman he might have a hiccup during the first round. So I see him gone. And then Larson, Larson, something always happens, man. Whether it's engine problems, whether it's him just not, performing up to par during the playoffs, something always happens to Kyle Larson. So I see him as a first round exit.
Okay, who you got?
All right, so I did some thinking, and the first round I have eliminated is Newman, Boyer, Byron, and Jones.
Damn. Oh,
I have
damn.
Jones gone.
Damn, why Eric Jones though? That's interesting.
I just have this feeling that Jones is gonna go and flop the first 3 races. I don't know why, and I like Eric Jones too. I was so happy when Eric Jones won. It's just I feel like I just have that feeling Eric Jones is just gonna flop. I feel like Almirola is so consistent at being top 15, top 10. It's just crazy. And wait, hold on. I said it. Newman, Boyer, Jones, and Byron, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it's just, I just feel like something's gonna happen Jones-wise that is just gonna F him up. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. I just feel like some of these other drivers are way too consistent. Jones is just gonna have this false slump.
All right. Well, that leaves me. First round, I think that Boyer's gonna be the lowest of them. I think he's going to be out. He's just not performing anymore, in my opinion. Kyle Larson, too inconsistent. I could totally see him crashing in every single race that they run. Ryan Blaney, I don't have much faith in him at this point either. And Eric Almirola, I think it's going to be a bad round for SHR and a bad round for Ford overall, with those guys all getting taken out. So Boyer, Larson, Blaney, and Almirola are my first 4 getting taken out.
Okay. Now on to the second round. So in the second round, the 4 I have being eliminated: Eric Almirola, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, and Eric Jones. Eric Jones was eliminated from the first round last year, so he does improve this season, making it all the way to the second round. Ryan Blaney, again, he's very up and down when it comes to it. On Jarrett's on his little thing, he keeps track of the Winston Cup Series points. Without stage points, where would Ryan Blaney be? He wouldn't even be inside the top 15.
He's actually 10th.
Oh, okay. So, but earlier in the season,
you look at it, and the distance from, and again, this is under the Winston Cup points. The distance from Blaney in 10th to Boyer in 17th is less than 100 points. So
yeah, so there's not much gap. And then William Byron. William Byron. I think that team, they are definitely taking steps in the right direction. and I can hear IDK's dog.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good,
She's-
man. I can
she's
hear.
something.
It's all right.
I can hear a bite.
While we're a little off really quick, I just want to thank Corvette Racing 48 for the $4.99 super chat, saying Newman, Boyer, Almirola, and Blaney are eliminated first. Byron, Jones, Kurt Busch, and Larson are eliminated in the round of 12. So interesting prediction there too. So you got a few guys. I see everyone in the chat going along, but go on, Darian.
Yeah, but William Byron and Chad Knaus are definitely heading in the right direction, and I think even in 2020, they can be, they have the potential to become championship contenders, right away next year if they keep improving. But this year, his first year in the playoffs, I'd say he makes it all the way to the second round. And lastly, Eric Almirola was one of the favorites last year. Was eliminated after the round of 8. But this year he has had a very quiet season, and I don't know, he hasn't really shown much to where like, oh, okay, he's gonna turn it up once the playoffs start. So I'd see Eric Almirola as a second round exit. IDK.
So I have Almirola, Larson, Blaney, and Kurt Busch. I don't know why I have it like this, but I just think Bowman is just going to be really consistent. We go through this time. It's like, wait, where are the tracks again? The Roval and stuff. I just don't see Larson performing at the Roval at all. Blaney, I know he got the win at the Roval last year, but Blaney's just going to be really inconsistent. I don't think he's going to do well at Dover. And Almirola, he's just not performing up to par to get to the Final Four, the round of 8 for that matter. So, Kurt Busch, something's going to happen to Kurt Busch. I mean, he's not the best equipment, but something will happen. What?
So, really quick, the second round consists of Dover, Talladega, and Kansas. So, the Roval's the end of the second round.
Oh!
No, excuse me, the first round. The first round.
Crap, that's right. Okay, no matter, I still see Larson go bye-bye. Anyways, somehow Kurt Busch is going to get caught up at Dega and just wreck. Okay, that's all I see. I do not see Kurt Busch getting past or Larson getting past. I just think they're not in the best equipment right now. Yeah.
All right, and that leaves me. I have a feeling my predictions are going to be a little unpopular here. Newman, he'll be out this round. That's a popular part of it. And then all 3 Hendrick cars, gone.
Wow.
Taken out.
Just like that.
Just like that. Byron, I don't think they're ready yet. I don't think they're going to take that leap. Even with Knaus probably having a little something up his sleeve, I still don't think the driver is ready yet. Bowman, that 88 team has been very shaky the past couple weeks. And then Chase, there's always somebody during the playoffs, whether it's the 14 to 16 format, whether it's the 17 to 19 and on format. And when you look at this format, even going back in previous years, again, I've gone through now all the way through 2011 with that series I'm doing, and there's always somebody who looks really good going in, who's had a few good years before that, and then in the round of 12, just they're gone. They hit a bad streak of luck. And I look, I mean, with Dover and Kansas, I know Chase Elliott won there last year, but at the same time, these Hendrick cars they've struggled on being consistent. And while Elliott's still the best one, I still don't have the faith in Hendrick right now. And then Talladega, Elliott is like a magnet for people crashing unless it's you're talking the last race, that he won. I know it seems crazy, but I think that Elliott is the one who is going to be the big shock that's not even going to make it to the round of 8 this time around. So, and if there's a big enough super chat, IDK, you have to say putting food on the table as loud as you can, but that's only if we get a big enough one later.
Yeah. Okay, so now on to the third round. So my picks for the third round. Let's see. I have Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, defending Cup Series champion Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. out in the third round. Kurt Busch, I feel like this is right where he is supposed to be when it comes to playoff predictions. Brad Keselowski, Logano, and Truex. this was tough, man. Like this was just tough to pick, just because like there's so much talent, entering these later rounds, man. I mean, I know Logano's the defending champion, but I mean, in this playoff format, we haven't had a defending champion yet. So, I don't know. And I mean, the 22 team, like, yeah, they've been, good, but like, I don't know, like playoffs, they're so unpredictable. Something's going to happen. I don't see Logano getting the job done. Keselowski, on the other hand, I really think, when it comes down to it, there's just, there will be some other guys who are just going to outperform him. And the same with Truex, too. Like, I feel like it is going to be very, very close to see who gets in to the final 2 spots in the round of 4. Like, by the time the ISM race rolls around, I feel like there's going to be 2 that have their spots locked, and then the other 2 will be based on points. Like, I feel like it is going to be very close for those final 2 spots, and unfortunately, these 3 will be the odd ones out. Unfortunately.
I'm gonna read it, but IDK, you gotta do your thing because we got a $4.99 super chat from Corvette Racing 48. Round of 8 eliminations: Keselowski, Truex, Harvick, and Bowman. Kyle Busch, Hamlin, and Logano, and Elliott make the final 4. Kyle Busch wins the title.
He's muted right now. I don't know where IDK's at, but yeah, he's muted right now. So I don't know.
Oh, so here, listen, I just put my dog away.
Okay.
Well, we got a super chat. We got a $4.99 super chat, so I think you gotta do your thing.
Okay, so how loud?
As loud.
No, we'll do a medium one for this one.
Okay.
It's Corvette Racing? Corvette Racing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he donated to me like a couple of streams ago, so I'll do it. Corvette Racing! What was it again? $4.99?
Yeah.
With the $4.99 donation, I like it, Chief Jeff Gordon Gong. Oh, thank you so much. You'll be shouted out you'll not be shouted out in the Iceberg's video. I'm so sorry. But thank you for donating to the podcast. Hashtag putting food on the table.
That was a good one.
I like it, Chief. Okay.
And is now your pick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to think this through, okay? I had to really think this through. But I got Bowman, Kez, Giggles, and Hamlin. All 4 of them are gone.
Giggle?
Yeah. He smiles so much. And I got that from Maroots, and I just think it's too funny.
Roots, you said his name wrong.
Maroots. I said it right. Maroots.
No, you.
Maroots.
No.
Okay, so that means my final 4 is Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Kevin Harvick. And if I need to explain why, I think Kyle's going to win at Texas. Hamlin, something is going to happen to Hamlin. I can't predict what's going to happen. I just know there's no shot Hamlin's making it to the Final 4. But what's going to happen is I think Chase will finally get it done at Martinsville. Why? I just think Chase is better at Martinsville than some of these other drivers.
Why?
And I think Harvick is going to get it done at ISM just because he's consistently good there, even though ever since they changed the layout, he's been not winning here. But I just think this is Harvick's race. And we're not going to talk about champion yet. Okay, no, race there right there. And there you go. And I think Truex is going to point his way in by the skin of his you-know-what. But he's going to point his way in.
All right. So, the 8 that I have left so far are Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Eric Jones. So, I think Eric Jones is out for the same reason I think Kurt Busch is out in this round. Lack of bonus points. These other guys are having 24 or more going in. And I don't see Eric Jones winning enough stages and enough races and winning one of those 3 races to be in contention for the Final 4. Kurt Busch, I think it's the same way. He's just good enough, but I think just good enough isn't going to cut it with these guys. So that leaves 2 others. There's this higher tier of Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and Brad Keselowski. That's like the high tier, the 6 drivers that you really have to think about when it comes to Final 4. And I look at it. I look at the races. You got Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix. And Phoenix, I think that's going to be Harvick's ticket in, so he'll make it. Kyle Busch has enough points to stay ahead. I think Denny Hamlin is good enough at these tracks, so that leaves Truex, Logano, and Keselowski as the three to choose from for that one last Final Four pick. And personally, I think it's going to be Logano. I think he's going to have a chance to defend his championship, so I think Brad Keselowski and Martin Truex Jr. will not make the Final Four this year.
Wow.
So, what is our Final Fours? Mine is Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Kevin Harvick.
All right, so mine here, Chase Elliott will make it in, being the only Hendrick car in the Final Four. Kyle Busch makes it back, along with his teammate Denny Hamlin, who is having a solid year this year. And last but not least, Kevin Harvick will once again make it into the Final Four.
Who was your first pick again?
Chase Elliott.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I got Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Busch going into Homestead.
And then I have Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Kevin Harvick. So I'm looking here, and our constants in this is Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. And Hamlin is in 2 of our picks, and Elliott's in 2 of our picks. And then the difference is I have 1 for Joey Logano, and IDK has 1 for Truex. So, of our Final Fours, again, we'll list them off and then say who you think is going to win the championship out of your Final Four. Start off with Darian again.
Okay, so in order, Chase Elliott will have the worst finish out of all of these guys. He will finish inside the top 10, but will be nowhere near close to running with the other 3. Third out of the 4, I have Kevin Harvick, and it'll all come down to both Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin for the championship. And I think finally, he will get the monkey off of his back. Denny Hamlin is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Rusty Walrus would like to know your location.
He even said so in one of his streams. He thinks
I
it's
know.
Hamlin's ear.
I know.
Yeah,
I
it's
saw it.
Hamlin's ear, bro. Yeah. We'll see.
All right. So you guys know I've been watching Homestead races since 2009, going to the race since 2009. So I already know what my prediction is going to be. So what's going to happen is Truex and Kyle Busch will be the class of the field the whole race, while Harvick will be in around 5th place and Chase Elliott will be probably in the top 7. Knowing Homestead, there will be a late race restart, okay? That's going to bunch the field up, and the pack and the playoff will be exposed when someone gets turned off at turn 4 and takes out 2 championship contenders, hopefully right in front of me because I'll be sitting in turn 4. But then it's going to be down to because Harvick and Chase Elliott will probably get taken out. That's just my expectation. Every single year since the playoffs, I've been waiting for just this huge wreck to happen. I know 2016, but more of this stuff to happen just to take out playoff contenders. But it's going to come down to Truex, and it's going to come down to Busch. And statistically, at least from my scene, Truex is so much better than Busch at Homestead. I know Busch got it in 2015, but even last year, you just saw how consistent Truex was knocking off laps. When the tire wear comes in, he'll move to the higher lane. He could run Homestead like it's his bread and butter sometimes, even though Giggles got him last year. But coming
I
down
love that name.
Giggles.
coming down to it, it's going to be Truex. There's no doubt about it in my opinion.
All right, so that leaves me. My picks, again, are Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Kevin Harvick. I think that even though he's the defending champion, I think that the pressure, I don't think the pressure will get to him. I just think the car won't be there for him. So I think Joey Logano is going to be 4th. I think once again, Harvick's going to be up there. I think he'll be in the top. I think it'll be a 1-2-3 championship 4 finish. I think Logano will be around that 5th, 6th range. I think Harvick will get 3rd. So that leaves Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. And I think that as much as as much as a good year he's had, I think Denny Hamlin chokes at the end and Kyle Busch wins it. So Kyle Busch is my pick.
No, Hamlin.
Yeah, I think Denny leads a majority of the race because he's good at Homestead. I mean, 2009 and 2013 he won there.
Very good.
But it's Denny Hamlin we're talking about. When the stage is at its biggest, he chokes like the pelican from Finding Nemo. Like it's insane.
2010 and 2014.
Yes.
2010 and 2014.
Yes, he chokes every time, and I don't see any reason to think that this will be different. He's like the unlikable version of Mark Martin.
Oh no. Oh, it sucks. Oh, we'll see, man. Yeah, those are our playoff predictions.
And then that leaves us with a little bit of a shorter prediction segment. Picks for Las Vegas.
Vegas week. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be working the entire weekend. So if you see your boy Darren Gilliam, aka Black Lives Matter, come say hi, man.
So since you're gonna be there, who's gonna suck in front of you?
Let's see who's gonna suck. I'm gonna pick someone else other than Stenhouse. If Stenhouse, I don't think he's running the Fastenal car this week. So I'd say out of the playoff drivers, who's gonna suck? I'd say Kyle Larson will get off to a horrible.
Oh, we're
horrible
saying out
start
the
in
playoff drivers.
Well, no. I'm saying like
Oh.
I'm just gonna go with the playoff driver here. Kyle Larson is going to get off to a horrible start, beginning with the first race of the playoffs. Kyle Larson is going to suck. I don't know how. I don't know how he's gonna do it. I don't know what's gonna happen, but Kyle Larson is gonna suck.
IDK.
Okay. Who's gonna suck? Ryan Newman is going to suck. That is the most obvious pick. Somehow Newman's heavy car will hit the wall. Somehow, some way. Is it a fat joke? That's up to you. But somehow Ryan Newman will hit that wall. And I don't hate Ryan Newman, by the way. I just think he's gonna suck.
Yeah, we like him.
And then for my suck pick, I don't want to beat up on this dude while he's down, but he just is atrocious right now. I mean, he's getting outran by everybody, man. And you know, whether it's his own doing, even though the cars have been getting better, Jimmy Johnson's going to suck this week. It's going to be a far cry from the years he used to dominate this place.
Yeah, man, he has been dominant here in quite a while too. Really, he has been dominant in a while, just in general.
He hasn't been dominant since he lost the Cobalt sponsorship for the race.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Darian, who's a dark horse?
Matty D, man, coming off a week of excitement, of jubilation for him, man, getting the Wood Brothers ride. He's gonna be well rested for this race. He is going to be hyped up for this race. And is he running the Barstool Sports scheme this week, or is that for another race?
I haven't checked. But really quick, our main man Sloppy Joe, $3 for a P3 finish tonight. So thank you, Sloppy. It's good to see you, man.
Good job, man. Third place.
Nice job.
Third place, man. Got the job done there. Keep putting together those good runs there. But yeah, I'd say Matty D, he is the underdog. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores a top 10. He's been on a roll.
My dark horse. My dark horse has to be from Tampa, Florida. A little bit of Cubano descent. Eric Almirola. Okay? Eric Almirola. Alright? Eric Almirola. Mr. Top 15, top 10 consistency is somehow going to prevail with a top 7. Or possibly win. Eric Almirola.
Not bad.
So, my guy still is not getting the respect he deserves. He was running very well here last year before being taken out. And I think this year he's going to be running even better. I think he's a dark horse for the win. Eric Jones is my dark horse pick this week. And Darian, who's going to win? Who's going to win?
Who's going to win? Who's going to win at Las Vegas? Let's see. I think Kyle Busch will finally get it done again. He hasn't won here in the Cup Series since 2009, but the hometown kid will prevail again. and maybe it might even beat his brother for the win there too. So coming down to the final laps, he needs to avenge Kentucky, and I think Las Vegas is the perfect place for it. Kyle Busch is your winner.
Wait, he hasn't won since 2009.
Well, no, he hasn't won at Las Vegas in the Cup Series.
Wait,
since
he hasn't?
2009.
You
No,
sure?
he's only he's only won there once.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
No, yeah, it's been a while, dude. It's been a while in the Cup Series for him. In trucks, Xfinity, he's the man there. But he almost swept this year too. He almost swept this year.
Then where did Kurt Busch say he got left by him from? I thought he said he got left at Las Vegas or something.
Left at Las Vegas.
Remember, because like the plane incident. Remember with his brother. Like his brother had to stay. No, his brother had to stay because Kyle Busch won. I forgot where though.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't really remember that story. I don't know. I don't really remember the details. But yeah, Kyle Busch is gonna win. So.
Okay, who is going to win? Dang, I just had it in my head. Hold on. Okay, who I think is gonna win? I think it's gonna be Brad Keselowski. I think somehow, some way, Brad, is good at Las Vegas. And something about this summer race, even though there's only been one other year for the summer race, at least from what I remember from having 2 races, I think Brad's going to get it done. He's going to win it, but he's not going to lead the most laps. He's going to somehow get it off a strategy or off of a late race restart.
Oh, by the way, in IDK, in the chat, they're saying Kentucky, so it was Kentucky that whole
No,
season.
I know that. Somehow
Yeah.
because Kurt Busch had to wait for Kyle Busch because of the plane.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
So, I'm looking here because I like to write down the picks as we go, and IDK and I have some very similar picks in certain ways. So we picked the 2002 rookies for our suck picks. For the dark horse picks, we picked the 2 Erics, and it just, it keeps getting a little more similar, and it gets completely similar because I'm also picking Brad Keselowski. Came up just short in the spring race. I think he gets it done this time. I think Paul Wolf is one of the most intelligent minds on top of a pit box in modern NASCAR, and I think he is going to, right off the bat, show everybody why Brad Keselowski is a championship contender this year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's our picks there. Man, went by pretty quick. I guess, and a lot of people have talked about in the chat, and if you've seen the video I put today, just getting a little serious here. As much fun as we had tonight, remember that it is the anniversary of 9/11, so just keep the people who lost their lives that day, and everyone whose lives were affected by losing loved ones in your hearts and minds, and just remember how blessed we are in this country that something like that is, doesn't happen all the time. That we have so many nice things in the country, and so much to be thankful for. So keep them, in memory, and never forget. That's the thing I saw everyone say, never forget. I wanted to say that, I know a lot of people in the chat were getting a little peeved that we hadn't said anything. It was just something we wanted to say for the end, just as a point of remembrance. So
Yes.
yes.
I remember all of the 2,977 lives lost that day, 18 years ago. Yeah, never forget.
But with that, I want to end on one little fun streak. If you haven't yet, go check out Rusty's stream that all of us were in. It is hilarious. Darian is screaming like a banshee in it. It's amazing.
The game's so good. It's so good. He's actually streaming right now. So after this stream,
Yeah,
he's
so
right over there.
Hop over to Rusty's stream. Man, this one actually went kind of quick for we got through stuff like a well-oiled machine tonight, guys.
Yeah, we did. Because there was only 3 of us tonight, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll be on Darian's channel next week. We'll give you a little further update on who the guests will be. Working some stuff out, but we'll have stuff for you. Trust me, we'll have stuff for you set up. So IDK, where can they find you other than the link in the description of your channel? Where else can they find you to follow you, man?
You can find me on Twitter, or you can join my Discord. I don't know how the Discord thing works, to be honest. I just typed it.
You just, like,
But
have it.
you can find me on Twitter at Idk Player, all lowercase, and you can find me on Instagram. But I just use my Instagram to promote my videos. But I think that's just at Idk Player also. So yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, I'm gonna mute y'all and have the channel or the not the channel, have the camera on me. So, guys, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week on Darian's channel, Black Flags Matter, at same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Have fun this weekend. Have a good one, and until next time, have a good one.
My green flag. I'll roll.